G'day everyone, welcome to Inside Rugby with Mark. If you haven't been here before, my name is Mark. I'm a Kiwi rugby fan who's living in beautiful Cancun in Mexico. In today's video I'm going to be talking about the All Blacks squad that's been selected to play against France at home in New Zealand in the first three test matches of 2025. And we'll have a look at the team and I'll give you my thoughts around the team. So let's get into the video right now. Yes, I'm back at it, folks, and today I'm going to be talking about the All Blacks that were recently selected to play against France. So let's get into the team. We'll start off in the forwards and we're going to have a look at the hookers. And the hookers that have been selected for this series: Cody Taylor, Takiaho and Brodie McAllister. Yes, McAllister from the Chiefs is getting his debut to be an All Black this year, so that's fantastic news for him. And as far as I'm concerned, these hookers should do the job. Takiaho's been playing very well, of course, and Cody Taylor also has been on his game so far this season throughout the Super Rugby series. So this is a very good selection as far as I'm concerned of these three hookers, and good to see Brodie McAllister getting his opportunity in the black and silver fern jersey. Now, okay, moving on to the props, and we're going to see Ethan de Groot, Tamaiti Williams. Ollie Norris has been selected to represent the All Blacks for the first time, so kudos to Norris. He's a Chiefs player playing in the Super Rugby for the Chiefs. Been having a great season and definitely deserves this opportunity, so it's going to be good to see if he can get some game time. After Ollie Norris, then we have Tyrell Lomax, Fletcher Newell and Tossie, who are going to be the remainder of the prop selection. So again, I think these are good selections. Really excited for Norris. Well done getting selected to play for the All Blacks. Of course, it's always a big credit to any player who gets to pull on the All Black jersey, so I hope he gets some quality game time in this up and coming series against France. Okay, moving on to the locks, and only one new face here, and we're going to see first of all Scott Barrett. He's going to be the captain of this team, so Scott Robertson sticking with Barrett for the captaincy again this year, and that's going to be a really interesting aspect that I'll talk about a little bit later on in this video. And then we're going to see Patrick Tuipulotu, who had a great season, I thought, this year for the Blues. And again, Patrick is playing really good rugby. He's played a lot of rugby so far this year, so he's in good form coming into this particular series. Then we're going to see Tupou Vaa'i, and the last one is a new face, and it's a Dutchman. His name is Fabian Holland, and he's a Highlander, of course, playing the Super Rugby series this year, but been playing great rugby throughout the year. I think he deserves to get the nod to get an All Black jersey, and it's going to be great to see how he plays when he gets some game time for the All Blacks. So well done, Fabian Holland, getting into the All Blacks, and everybody in the Netherlands, well done. You've given us an All Black via the Netherlands, so that's fantastic stuff after Fabian moved his life over to New Zealand some years ago. So moving on to the loose forwards now, and I think this was one of the areas that was going to be really interesting. Difficult selections here with some of the players, and I think injuries might have had an impact on this particular selection panel for the loose forwards for the All Blacks for these first few tests. So we're going to see Finau, Satiti, Adi Savia, Luke Jacobson and Duplessis Karifi playing in the loose forwards, and I think this is really interesting. Blackadder's not in there, and probably due to injury or injury concerns around Blackadder, I think, and Luke Jacobson has probably taken his place, so that's how we're going to see it. Are we going to see Wallace Satiti at number 8 and Adi Savia back in that number 7 jersey? That's going to be one of the things that we're going to be looking for in this All Black team as they run out for that first test against France in Dunedin. The forwards that have been selected for the squad. Now let's have a look at the backs, and we'll start off with the halfbacks, and no surprises here. I think if you know anything about New Zealand rugby at all, we've got Cortez Ratama, we've got Cam Roigard, and we've got Noah Hotham as the three selected halfbacks that really choose themselves. So that's pretty much how I would have gone with it, I think, in terms of we've seen those players playing well throughout the Super Rugby series, but they're going to have to put it up to that next level, I believe, when they get onto the international scene. And whether or not Cam Roigard can get back to his very best in that test jersey, that's what we're going to be looking for, I think, from the All Blacks. Then moving on to the number 10 jersey, and again, probably no surprises here with Beauden Barrett and Damien McKenzie getting the nod here. You all know what I think of Damien McKenzie, and there's no need for us to rehash that again this year. We'll see how he goes at number 10, but we'll see who also is going to start, and I think it's going to be Beauden Barrett. It's going to start these games against France in the number 10 jersey. Moving on to the midfield, and if you watched any of my videos from last year, you would have known about my disliking from the All Blacks midfield centre combinations. They didn't do it for me throughout the year, and I was hoping to see some changes this year. We've got a couple of changes. Whether or not they're going to get some game time, it's going to be up to decide how Scott Robertson's going to play this one, and I think that's going to be interesting to see what team we actually see get put out against France. But when it comes to the midfield, we're going to see Anton Lienert-Brown. We're going to see Jordie Barrett back from his stint with Leinster, and I watched a number of the games over there, and I thought Jordie Barrett played very well in that competition over there for Leinster this past year. And then we've got Rieko Ioane back in the team again in the midfield. We've got Quinn Tupaia, who's finally over his injuries and been able to show this season what he's really able to do. He brings a lot of power in that midfield, and I think that's something the All Blacks are going to be looking for. So it's going to be interesting to see whether we see Tupaia get an opportunity to actually unleash that power in these games against France. It's all going to come down to the selections, of course. Then we've got Billy Proctor in there. If you watch my videos from last year, you'll know that I'm a bit of a fan of Billy Proctor, at least giving him an opportunity to show what he's got in All Black jersey. And is he going to be spending the time on the bench again this year, or is he going to get some solid game time? Only time will tell. And then the last man in the midfield, Tavatawa Nawai, he gets his opportunity from the Highlanders. He's played extremely well. He's kind of the All Black answer to Bundy Aki, I think, in a lot of ways. He's got that absolute brute force, and he's done some fantastic things throughout the Super Rugby games that I watched him play throughout the season, and it's great to see that he's got the nod in the All Blacks and going to be playing for the All Blacks. Moving on to the outside backs, and we're going to see Caleb Clark, Sevu Reece, Will Jordan and Ruben Love. So a bit short on the outside backs. Going to be an interesting combination. Of course, Mark Talia has gone to Japan, and he's going to be playing his rugby up there, so not available for the All Blacks under their current policy, and we're going to see these particular wingers start. So probably going to see, I think we're going to see Sevu Reece and we're going to see Will Clark start on the wings for the All Blacks. But don't be surprised if we see Will Jordan back on the wing for one of these games and we see Ruben Love coming into fullback. That might be one of the ways that the All Black selectors go. Let me know what you think on that one. Or are we going to see Will Jordan cemented in that 15 jersey throughout the 2025 campaign? And then the two players that have been selected as injury cover, we've got Christian Leo Willie from the Crusaders, and he had a great season as well. And we've got Roni Narawa, who's been on the fringes of this All Black team, and I really hope that he gets a chance at some stage throughout this series, but hopefully it's not due to a terrible injury from one of the All Black backline. But Narawa in there is a very solid pick for an injury cover. So there we go, that's the squad that's been selected. What do I think of it? I think it's a pretty good squad. Again, my concerns are over the 10 and the midfield. If Beauden Barrett and Damian McKenzie don't bring that articulate game to be able to get the All Black backline away, then we might see some problems. And again, it's going to be that last 20 minutes of each game, isn't it, that we're going to be really focused on, whether Damian McKenzie is going to be the man coming off the bench, or is Scott Robertson going to start him in one of these games, or even two of these games against the French? That's going to be the other interesting one to see. When the All Blacks play in Dunedin, they've got a 90 to 95% win record. But however, when they go to game 2 in Wellington at the Westpac Stadium there in Wellington, we're going to see the All Black win percentage drop to 60 to 70%. And if you remember some of those great games over the last few years there, we saw Argentina beat the All Blacks there, of course, and we've seen some other upsets in that particular stadium. So a lot of people call that the Eden Park Reverse Stadium, where the All Blacks don't have a great winning streak in Wellington, and that's going to be the second game of the series. The third game is going to be played on July the 19th in Hamilton in New Zealand in the Waikato, and that's going to be a fantastic opportunity for all rugby fans across the North Island to be able to come and see the All Blacks play in Waikato at that Hamilton Stadium. So a fantastic series ahead with France. It's going to be interesting to see what French team turns up. Hey, so I'm back, everyone. I'm going to be covering a lot of international rugby here on the channel this year, giving you my previews and reviews of all the big games that are happening, the Rugby Championship, all of South Africa's games, the fantastic Lions and Wallabies series down under. And I'm going to make a video about that shortly, because as you'll know from my previous videos last year, I was a big Wallaby supporter under Joe Schmidt, and I told everybody he was going to turn that team around. And now I am one who's super excited about what's going to happen in Australia between the Wallabies and the British and Irish Lions. I think that series is going to be an absolute cracker, and we don't have to wait too long for that to get underway as well. So if you want to stick around, hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and all the rest of the stuff that we do. Don't forget to hit your comments, tell me what you've been doing since I've been offline. What rugby have you been watching? What teams have stood out for you? Who's the player of the year so far? All those things, drop them in the comments. Let me know what you've been doing and watching as far as rugby goes around the world, and I'll see you again really soon in the next video. Until then, it's time to say adios from beautiful Cancun in Mexico. Bye for now.